So last time we have started with the validation, and we have also completed one validation. Okay, and I will be uploading that previous class also and today's class also on YouTube, so you can get a good recap also what was done last time and what we are doing today. So we started with the JavaScript validation. We have already studied what is validation, why we need the validation, and also how Java validation is helpful to us. So concerning our application, that is creating a form and validating it. Okay, so first thing we have done is we have taken a name field and we have validated it against wrong entries. Okay, so now we'll go back again in Composer and we'll continue where we have left off. I hope now everyone knows what is JavaScript and what is JavaScript validation, and I had specially asked some of you to write it and understand it properly. I will check it later on. So this was my form, and this is the coding which we have done last time. Let me see if I can change the font here. We'll try to change the font size. Let it be. So now this form, which was a feedback report form, okay, has only one field right now. So I can just validate that and see whether it is working properly or not. So a user is supposed to enter the name here, and if he doesn't enter the name and directly tries to submit the form, okay, we have to give him a message. Okay, so the user will now come to know that he has done some error and he is not able to proceed. So here he will click on the close button, and directly this box is in focus. Now there is blue color here around the box, so he can write whatever he wants to give and then he'll click on submit. Now the next thing which we will be adding here will be the phone number of the user. Okay, and we'll also follow our book now. If we see the book example here, they've gone for this validation and they have explained all the different elements. Okay, so our coding is almost similar to the one which is given in the book, and we have already seen the explanation of all these basic terms. That is what is a function and what is validate form here. The function is nothing but a reusable block of code that performs a particular task, and we have to give a name to all the functions we use in our JavaScript coding. So here I have given the name validate form because this function is going to validate the form. So a meaningful name has to be given. Then the example of the function is given, how it is defined. First, the function keyword is here in lowercase, then with the name of the function, then an opening curly bracket and the closing curly bracket. In between, we have all the statements which we want to be there inside the function. Now, there is something very unique in Java that is known as events. Okay, JavaScript events. So we all know JavaScript is useful in creating interactive web pages which respond to the action performed by the user. Okay, just like in our this demo form, you can see when the user tries to submit, okay, it is an event which is happening at that time. This particular code is working and we are able to validate the form and we are able to stop the user the to submit the form, which is blank in this case. So here, whenever the user does something, the event takes place, and there are many events which are already inbuilt into JavaScript. Okay, so we have to just have some information about these events, and based on those events and the description, we can understand how they are going to work. So first of all, this abort event is there, which is loading of image is cancelled. So when a loading of image is cancelled, this event happens, or when this event happens, this will take place. Okay, vice versa. So blur, okay, element such as the radio button becomes inactive. Click, user clicks on a form element. So when you user clicks somewhere on the form, click event is generated. When user changes the value of the form fields, a change event is happened. Error occurs during loading of a document or image. Focus, okay, this focus event is happens when a particular button is in focus. Then we have load event. It takes place when the image or document is loaded. Mouse out, whenever a user takes out his mouse or moves the mouse of a particular element, this mouse out event is occurred. Okay, similarly mouse over, when he moves the cursor over element. Then reset, okay, form reset, form fields are reset to default values. Select, user selects a form field. Submit, user submits a form. So here when I click on submit button, okay, what will happen? User is submitting a form, so submit event will be raised, and then accordingly different actions will be taken place. Then we have unload, user leaves the page. Okay, so these are all the basic events of JavaScript. In our book, we are going to focus only in these two event, that is focus and three events actually: focus, reset, and the submit button event. So we are going to work on these three particular events only. So what happens when an event will take place? Specific JavaScript code is executed in response to a given situation. This JavaScript code is also known as event handler. So there is an event, and in a response, a particular code has to be run, that is known as event handler. Now, event handler names are kept the same as the name of the event. For example, the click event will have an event handler as on click. Likewise, submit event will have an event handler as on submit. So if you remember in our previous example, okay, when we were setting this page for validation, okay, I had gone through these steps of defining the form, and in advanced edit, I went to this JavaScript events tab, and here you can see the attributes. Okay, this is on submit. So what is this? Is event handler as described here in our book. Here event handler names are kept the same as the name of the event. So you can understand from this that on submit event handler is activated because we are going for registering the event, that is submit event. Now what happens exactly in our form? When we want the validation to be done, when the user clicks the submit button, only that time we want. Okay, that is on submit event. So we need to use the on submit event handler. Therefore, in figure 2.18 or in our example, we had added an event handler on submit. I will show you the different event handler names also here. You see all the events have a event handler here. So on submit we are going to use this event handler will call the function validate form. Now what happens when this event handler, okay, it is supposed to run a particular set of code. Okay, so what it is going to run? It is going to run this particular function whose name is validate form, which is this one in our case. So you can see the connection, how things are connected. You use the submit event, and submit event is triggered. So we have a event listener, that is on submit, and on submit event listener will run a code. What is that code? That is code is in the validate form function. So we have that already here written. So that is going to run when the submit button is pressed. So this is the whole flow of how this JavaScript coding is working here. Then we have variable. What is a variable? The concept of variable, that also we have done in the previous class. So variable is nothing but a container for storing data. And the syntax, or you can say the rule how to declare a variable is given here. These are the examples of simple variables, like var is the keyword here. Because JavaScript is case sensitive, okay, so we have to give a name. So small x name is given to the variable here, so it has to be same everywhere where we want to use the variable x. Now these variables can store different types of values, like numerical values, string values, or text values. In JavaScript, we declare a variable using var keyword. Okay, so in our example, you can see it is here. As you can see, var is the keyword. Then I am using the x letter to denote that this is my variable, and then I'm assigning something, some values to it. Okay. Now we also make use of if statement there. So what is an if statement? Okay, if statement is nothing. It is a conditional statement which is used to change the flow of the program. So how many of you are already familiar with your programming conditional statement? Can raise the hand in the app so I know what is the current standing of the class. How many of you already are familiar with if statements that you have learned in your lower classes? Can raise the hand in the app so I know that I don't have to go in detail in explaining this. So I think I can see no hand raised. That means this topic is not clear to all of you, or you have not learned about these conditional statements. Okay, so we'll just discuss a little bit about them then. What is the actual meaning of conditional statements? Okay, these statements work based on conditions. Okay, suppose a particular condition is true, then some set of things has to be done. If some condition is not true, then some another set of instruction has to be done. So this type of statements which are dependent on any particular conditions to be executed are known as conditional statements. And there is a list of different types of conditional statements. Among them, the easiest and what we are learning right now, that is the if statement. The if statement evaluates an expression to validate specific conditions. Here we give expression and then we validate that specific condition. And if the condition is true, then the program enters the if block and execute the statement inside it. Okay, so just like here, we have given a condition. What is the condition here? That if the value of x variable is equal to a blank space, that is two double inverted commas are there, so it is nothing but a blank thing there. And we have used this symbol here. I will explain this. This is an OR operator. And then again, I check whether x is storing a null value. So if these two conditions evaluate in true, like both the conditions are true, or even one condition is true in our case, that means the overall if statement is true for us. So if that happens, I have a corresponding block of code here, starting with the curly bracket and ending the curly bracket, and having some statements inside it which will be executed only when the condition becomes true. And if it is false, then I can define some new conditions, new statements also, which should be executed when it is false. That is up to us. So here I am not defining that because I don't need that, Why? Because in my case, when they are not true, okay, these conditions are not met, in that case I want the user to go back and just correct his form. So here we can see the if statement is easily understood, and its working is also explained through our simple example which we have done. Now we go to the next part, that is document object model. These are all technical things about JavaScript. Here in our example, when I was declaring the variable, okay, I also have taken this particular statement here. So whenever we assign some value, you have learned in maths also. So the left side is the name of the variable, and after the equal sign we have the values, like x equal to 4, y equal to 5. So what does that mean? That 5 is being assigned to this particular variable. This is how it happens in mathematics. Similarly, it is also applicable in computers here. So what is happening? Variable x is assigned some value. Now, instead of giving some static value like 5, 4, 10, or anything like that, I'm trying to assign some document objects value here, or some dynamic value here. And how that is being done? With the help of this statement. So we will break this statement in different part, and we will see how this particular terms here work. So first of all, we see a document text written here. So we go to the theory part now. What is this document here? To control the web browser, okay, we use the JavaScript, because JavaScript allows us to change the element of the web page also. To control the web browser window or the web page, we use the browser object model. Okay, this is an object created by the JavaScript industry to control the web browser, which is known as BOM in short, and browser object model in its full form. What does it state? It states that all the browser are split into different parts or objects that can be accessed using JavaScript. These parts are known as the browser object model, or BOM. On the top of this browser hierarchy is the window object as shown in the figure 2.19. So you can see how this browser object model is working. So first of all, what is a window? The window is the screen in front of you in your web browser where this particular page is being displayed. So you can see this is my particular window here. And in my window, you can see there are so many elements. Okay, first of all, this, if you can see this screen here, this PDF is being displayed. Okay, here is a gray element background. Here are tabs, status bar, and all these things are there. I have a scroll bar here. So as I can see, this window also has some inbuilt elements. Okay, so there are this frame, parent, self, and top elements. Inside this element, we have history, document, and location. So we are not concerned with everything right now. We are only concerned with the document object here. Now in this hierarchy, we have this document object. Document object, we will see it is the current page in which we are working. It has 3 bifurcation again. One is link, one is form, and one is anchor. Now you already know we are working with HTML forms. So here the form bifurcation is important for us. So now form also has many subordinate elements, that is radio element, text area, button, text, and checkbox. It also has password, reset, select, okay, and select has options. So this is a hierarchy list of all the different elements which we can use or we can modify with the help of JavaScript. So this hierarchy is very important. Now, We can use the properties and the methods of objects in the browser object model to change the window or element displayed in the browser. Okay, so you can only change what is in your browser. And we do not have to create an object in a browser object model. They are created automatically when the browser opens the web page. And all the explanation is given. Yes, that same explanation, that the top level object is browser object model, and in it the top level is window object. Window object represents the browser window or individual frame within the window. Okay, and it is automatically created when you open the web page. Now, document object is the most important object in the browser object model. It is used to represent the web page displayed in the browser. All the elements of the web page like form, images, link, and others are contained within the document object. And you can see the form object is also there. Just as the document object contains a form object, similarly the form object contains element object. The element object is used to reference each element in a form. The element objects can be radio, text, checkbox, or any other object. So now we come back to our example. So what we have learned, the theory we will see here. So now I want to store the value in X variable. What value? Of the current page, that is document, and in the current page, the current form. And I have given the name to my form. I can check from here, demo1. That is the name of my current form. So I set up the hierarchy here. I first write the current page, that is document. Then I write dot. And then I write what I'm writing next. I'm writing demo, which is the name of the form. Now form also, has different elements like text box, radio, checkbox, all those things. So now next what I'm writing the name of the text box. This is the text box. And how do you know the text box? Because while defining the text box, what we were doing, we were also giving some name. So if you see the text box, its name is username. So if you can understand now how this hierarchy is working, first I address the current page. In that I address this particular form, and in that I address the text box which is having the name username. And then I want the values. So we have to read this like this. In the current web page, the form having name demo1, having an element having username the name, its values to be picked and assigned to the variable X. So this is how this statement is to be read. So now what will happen? Okay, if you follow this statement and if you go back to our form, and if I write here our school name. So now can you tell me, if I write my school name here, what will be the procedure followed here and what will be ultimately stored in the variable X? If anyone wants to answer from our students who are live attending the class.
Sir,
Yes.
in place of username, there will be school name, like that?
No, actually username is the name of our text box. It is the name given to our text box, because there will be many text box in your web page. So how you will identify which box is which one?
Instead of value, it will be available.
No. What will happen? I will explain you here very simply that this dot value is doing the work of getting the value in the text box, whatever is stored there. So currently IOLF is written there. So dot value is going to fetch that IOLF name and give it to X. So after writing IOLF there, variable X is going to have IOLF stored in it. So if I print the value of X, then it is going to show me IOLF, because that is what is stored. Now, why we are doing this? Because we want to validate whether this box is left blank or not. Therefore, I want to see what is stored here. So now when it is blank, what happens when it is blank? This X is empty. So then this condition which I'm using here, that is if X is empty or X is storing null value, I can alert the user that please don't leave the box empty. So to run this condition, we need to store the value of X somewhere. So therefore the value of the text box somewhere. Therefore we have this variable X created, and inside it we are storing some value, and then we are validating that value in the if conditional statement, and then we get the condition checked. So when the user has entered some value, then this condition is false, and in that case these all statements are not executed and our form is proceeded further. So this is what we had done last time, but I had gone through very quickly. So this time I wanted to go slow and take all these steps in detail, so you all know how this logic of programming is working. Okay, so this is today's class. Now I'm going to end it. I hope you were able to understand something, and I will be sharing this recording on YouTube also. So you can go back there at your personal time and again refer this. So that will again help you in understanding the fundamental principle behind all these statements which we are using in our coding. No need to by heart all this code. If you understand the reason why we have used particular thing here, you can easily understand this and you can perform practicals also nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to clear this drawing and I'm going to take any questions from your end if you have. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now. Any questions are there, please